I can't outdo the Kelseys. I thought about trying to do that. But 2024 Time Athlete of the Year, 2-time Naismith Trophy. I mean, we could spend the entire podcast, Caitlin, just listing off like everything that you've been doing for the last 4 years. But Caitlin, I really appreciate you taking the time to just hang out for a little bit. It's good to catch up with you.
It. Thanks for having me on.
Caitlin Clark is back, and she's opening up like never before in a viral new interview with University of Iowa Sports Media. Caitlin reflects on the pivotal moments that have shaped her career, looking back on her legacy just a week before. Her college jersey is retired at Carver Hawkeye Arena. From her unforgettable freshman year during COVID to balancing life as a college student, she covers it all. But that's not all. She also gets real about the WNBA, the friends she misses, and even shares the surreal story of her encounter with Taylor Swift at a Chiefs game.
You since your senior year of high school, but you and I had never met face to face until after your freshman season because they kept everything so strict due to COVID and everything.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of makes your rise kind of even more intriguing to me, because it's not even the fact that like you've elevated to where you are. You started from the bottom's bottom because there were literally no fans in attendance, and like even the TV deal was kind of suspect.
And trust me, her thoughts on women's basketball and the defining moments of her career on the court are absolutely unmissable. Caitlin's insights are raw, authentic, and a true testament to why she's one of the most inspiring athletes in the game today. So, sit tight. We're breaking it all down right here, right now. Are you ready? Let's go.
3 words to describe your Iowa career.
Well, I'm going to say special.
Okay.
I'm going to say life-changing, but that's 2 words. Dang it.
It's a hyphen.
Okay, hyphen. Does that make it? Yeah, okay.
Well, I'll count it 1.
Special, life-changing, and impactful. I'm going to go those.
Clark kicks things off with a bang, describing her career as special, life-changing, and impactful. But why those 3 words? Here's Caitlin, reflecting back with deep gratitude.
Impactful. And I think that from a standpoint of like, obviously I have had an impact on a lot of people. I'm very aware of that. But at the same time, I hope everybody knows they've had an impact on me too. Like it's a 2-way street, and getting to see the young boys and the young girls, or, you know, the people that have drove from miles and miles to come watch us, or whatever it was in college, you know, that has a huge impact, not only on myself, but our entire teams when we were playing. So I hope everybody knows it's a 2-way street on that.
Yeah.
And, it really means a lot to us players, and certainly myself.
Next up, Caitlin takes us back to where it all began her freshman year, right at the height of COVID. Remember those days? She opens up about what it was like playing in empty arenas with nothing but cardboard cutouts and her family in the stands.
I don't remember a lot of them. Like one of the only ones I really remember was probably the Iowa State one at home, where we came back from, I think, down 18 points. But like we're playing in front of nobody. Like there wasn't anything like super memorable about that year. Like you're playing in front of cardboard cutouts and then like just your family members. So that was kind of a blur. And at some points, like it's unfortunate, but at the same time, like I feel like it gave me a year to kind of get my feet wet in college basketball. With that, I didn't have to balance road crowds. I didn't have to balance our crowd. I didn't have to balance all of that.
What really happened during that Iowa State game, and what made it so special for Caitlin? She shares the details of that unforgettable moment, giving us a glimpse into what made it a defining experience in her career.
You can watch some of those videos of me celebrating after the Iowa State game, because I think I made 3 with like 40-some seconds to go.
Oh, yeah.
To put us up 1 maybe or something. It was a huge comeback anyway. And I was like celebrating like there was 15,000 people inside of Carver, and there was probably like 200 people in Carver watching us. So it's just really funny to laugh at myself looking back on, but it was a good time.
But here's the twist. Caitlin reveals how that eerie, quiet atmosphere may have actually helped her adjust to college basketball. The lack of crowd noise gave her a unique opportunity to focus and find her rhythm in a way she hadn't expected.
I feel like that allowed me to kind of play more free and kind of figure out myself and, I don't know, just figure out how college basketball works. So, you know, it was kind of unfortunate that I missed a year of college basketball and being in front of our crowds. But at the same time, I try to look at it in a positive manner of like, maybe that helped me. And maybe like that was the starting point of like how I kind of got my feet wet in college basketball. And then obviously after that, it really took off. We played in front of nobody to not being able to get a ticket, which is pretty crazy.
Well, I mean, you got to play in front of your dog at least, though, too.
Yeah, that was basically the only person, my fake cardboard cutout.
And when the fans finally returned, let's just say her excitement was off the charts. Here's Caitlin, in her own words, sharing what that moment felt like after playing in front of empty arenas for so long.
I think going into my second year, I was just so excited to like finally get to play in front of people. I remember asking, it was like the exhibition game. And I remember like going up to Coach Fitz. I'm like, how many people do you think are going to be here? Like I kept asking, like I was so giddy on like finding out like how many people were going to come, like what the crowd was going to be like. Like I remember being like so excited to finally play in front of our fans and the people that have supported, you know, the program far before I got there. So I just remember being like super giddy about it.
Caitlin's upcoming college jersey retirement at the University of Iowa is truly historic, making her only the third player in program history to have her jersey hang in the rafters. She takes a moment to reflect on the incredible journey that led her to this unforgettable achievement.
That from a standpoint of like, obviously I have had an impact on a lot of people. I'm very aware of that. But at the same time, I hope everybody knows they've had an impact on me too. Like it's a two-way street, and getting to see the young boys and the young girls, or, you know, the people that have drove from miles and miles to come watch us or whatever it was in college, you know, that has a huge impact, not only on myself, but our entire teams when we were playing. So I hope everybody knows it's announced and it's like, oh, this is amazing and this is so cool. But I feel like as the days kind of started to approach here and we're now like a week away from this actually happening, I feel like it's kind of becoming really real. And you know, this isn't like a goal where you show up to campus and you're like, like I want to have my jersey retired one day. Like nobody does that. Nobody thinks that way. Like you just give your all for the program and the university. And, you know, there's been a lot of really good players to come through our program and have, you know, what have been National Player of the Year, Big Ten players, you know, whatever it is. And I think we only have 2 with their jersey retired right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be cool to be one of the few.
Now, this is when Caitlin starts to wear her heart on her sleeve.
I think it's hard to probably, you know, really feel all the emotions until I'm going to be inside of Carver and really see it and experience that with my family. And I'm not usually a very emotional person, but I feel like this will probably make me a little more emotional. And usually, like, when we've had certain things inside of Carver, I've been competing or playing shortly before, like, something like that has happened, whether it's been a senior night or something like that. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to kind of evoke emotion after you just competed for 40 minutes. But now that I'm not actually going to be playing, I feel like I'll probably be a little more emotional, even though I'm not a super emotional person.
Now, this is when Caitlin really starts to wear her heart on her sleeve. She opens up in a way that's both raw and genuine, sharing personal insights and emotions that give us a deeper look into her journey.
You have a new strength coach or player development coach at the Fever now, too, right?
Yeah, new player development coach. Came over with Steph White from Connecticut, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been fun to be in Indianapolis and working out with him, and Keith just loves the game of basketball, you can tell, and he puts a lot of time into it. It puts a lot of time into, you know, what we're going to work on every single day, but how does that look in like a long-term plan of my development. And
in the off-season, Caitlin's been putting in the real work, focusing on refining her game and gearing up for an even stronger second year in the WNBA. With the help of her new player development coach, Keith Porter, she's not just adding new skills. She's fine-tuning the ones that already make her such a dominant force on the court.
It's really my first time in quite some time where I can really like focus and be in the gym by myself and with trainers and rebounders or whatever, and really work on things that I need to get better.
Caitlin describes how this offseason is a rare opportunity to focus solely on her growth, free from the jam-packed schedules of both college basketball and the WNBA. It's her time to really hone in on what's next and take her game to new heights.
Obviously very emotional on the court.
Yes, I am. I was going to say that. I'm very emotional on the court, but like off the court, I'm not super like, I try to just, you know, I don't know, be like more relaxed. And I take a lot of pride in that. Like once I step off the court, I'm not as fiery and like, I mean, I'm fiery, but it's not the same level as when I get competitive and I'm in a game.
Yeah.
Like, it's completely different.
On the court, Caitlin Clark is fiery, intense, and laser-focused, a competitor through and through. But off the court, it's a completely different story. Caitlin opens up about how she shifts gears, leaving that fiery edge behind once the game is over, and allows herself to embrace a more laid-back, personal side.
She talks about being more relaxed and composed in her day-to-day life, striking a balance between her fierce competitiveness and her grounded personality. It's a fascinating look at the duality of one of the game's most passionate players.
But it's been amazing to me because you're the fiery, you wear your heart on your sleeve on the court, you're driven, you're competitive. but I cannot remember one time where you've been in a post-game interview or a scuffle after the game or anything like that, and you haven't had like a clear head, you present yourself well. I guess, how do you kind of not let the cup of being competitive overflow into, I don't want to say public image because I know you, it is you, but it still can be difficult to present yourself in the way that you are sometimes just because of all the pressure and everything.
She talks about being more relaxed and composed in her day-to-day life, striking a balance between her fierce competitiveness on the court and her grounded, easygoing personality off it. It's a fascinating look at the duality of one of the game's most passionate players, showing how she manages to stay centered despite her intense drive. Tararshauti 14. But where does that balance come from? Caitlin doesn't hesitate to credit her upbringing for shaping her mindset. She shares how her parents instilled in her values of humility, accountability, and grace, win or lose, helping her stay grounded while striving for greatness.
I feel like you got to be a good sport, whether you win or whether you lose. But at the same time, I think that's how I was raised. Like my parents, like was just an expectation. Like, you're going to be the same person you are, whether you win, whether you lose. You're not going to brag about winning. You're not going to, pout about losing and blame other people. You just get back up and keep fighting.
For Caitlin, it's all about staying grounded, being a good sport, and always reflecting on what she can improve. This perspective has not only made her an elite athlete, but also a role model for fans everywhere. Let's hear Caitlin reflect on the lessons that have shaped her approach to the game.
Evaluating yourself first is, you always got to look in the mirror. You're never going to be able to, whether it's a ref's call you were upset about, if it was this or that the other team did, like, at the end of the day, like, the only thing that you can control is yourself and how that affects your team. Like, you can't control anything else. And at times that certainly can be really, really hard. It's obviously way easier said than done. We've, as athletes, have all been there in any sport. People just get competitive, but I think I always try to remind myself, like, look in the mirror first, evaluate what you can do.
When asked about how she manages the media, here's what. Caitlin Clark is back, and she's opening up like never before in a viral new interview with University of Iowa sports media. Caitlin reflects on the pivotal moments that have shaped her career, looking back on her legacy just a week before. Her college jersey is retired at Carver Hawkeye Arena. From her unforgettable freshman year during COVID to balancing life as a college student, she covers it all. But that's not all. She also gets real about the WNBA, the friends she misses, and even shares the surreal story of her encounter with Taylor Swift at a Chiefs game.
I try to, convey my thoughts to the media the best I can to help them understand the game and understand what I'm going through and what I'm thinking, and try to give thoughtful, authentic answers too to help them. I think that's been a great part of, helping our game grow too, is, the articles that people can write or the stories that people can tell or how they can convey the game to people that are reading their article or listening to their podcast. I think that's really helpful too, hearing it from a player.
And trust me, her thoughts on women's basketball and the defining moments of her career on the court are absolutely unmissable. Caitlin's insights are raw, authentic, and a true testament to why she's one of the most inspiring athletes.
Certainly what I miss the most is just, you're there with your best friends. And obviously I have some really good friends on the Fever too, but there's nothing like you finish practice and it's like, all right, where are we going to breakfast? Where are we going to lunch? Like, who's coming? Like, and at Iowa, like, as everybody knows, like, we were very close knit. Like, that was my family. Like, we loved each other. Like, if we had just gotten a little bicker on the court at practice, it didn't matter. We were going to still go get brunch with each other and talk about our lives and, go home and play Fortnite together or, talk about whose apartment we're going to all go chill in. Like,
it's a reminder that even for an all-time great, the bonds off the court are just as meaningful as the moments on it.
Those are
it's in the game today. So, sit tight. We're breaking it all down right here, right now. Are you ready? Let's go.
Fun little memories that we share that, a lot of times are even better than some of the basketball memories. Obviously, the basketball memories are great. We won a lot of games, but it's the small little things that nobody gets to see. So I certainly miss that. And I miss going to practice every day in Carver. Like, I'm the type of person that just loves to practice. Like, I loved going there. I loved competing. Like, Coach Bluter would have us play live literally like every single day. Like, we would just go in there and compete versus one another. So obviously I miss that. Pros are just so different because it's like such a lot of the responsibility is just on yourself. It's like, what are you, like, you're making your schedule, you're doing this, you're doing that. And obviously it's like that in college too, to an extent, but it is much different. And it's a business at the end of the day. And, college is obviously a business, obviously going more towards that.
Yeah.
But it's much more of a business in the pros than in college. Like I like to think you're still amateur. You were when I was there, not anymore. Obviously, it's not really so much that, but I guess I just miss the fun of being with my friends and doing things. 18 to 22-year-olds.
Clark kicks things off with a bang, describing her career as special, life-changing, and impactful. But why those 3 words? Here's Caitlin, reflecting back with deep gratitude.